Welcome back to the Eternal Wrestling Podcast, and I'm your host, Jacob, and this is another episode in our fantasy booking series, Reckoning, where we take stars from the present and past and create new and interesting rivalries. So, I do want to say thank you to the men and women who served in the military and gave their lives for our country, as yesterday was Memorial Day, and I'm a big supporter of the servicemen and women and what they do for our country, keeping us safe and keeping our borders safe as well. So, with that being said, we're going to do a quick recap of last week's episode and then get on into this week's episode as we build towards the June 6th free pay-per-view, Malice, where every single match will have a stipulation. So last week, there was some parking lot mayhem as Bam Bam Bigelow and Big Van Vader brawled throughout the parking lot area, destroying production equipment. And then we had some tournament progress within the tag team tournament as the Motor City Machine Guns and the Kings of Black Throne both advanced. The Kings eliminated the Acclaimed. The Sandman challenged Bray Wyatt to a match at Malice. Wyatt responded with a chilling, "Let me in." Warning from the Firefly Funhouse. This tension is only rising forward. Johnny Gargano demanded a title shot against Damian Priest, claiming that since he's been the champion, he doesn't really seem to be on TV or care that much about not only the roster, but the fans. Jon Moxley even confronted Seth Rollins backstage as they were crossing paths, stating that he hasn't forgotten their checkered history. The NWO, Bronson Reed, and Strowman attacked Kevin Nash, drawing out Scott Hall. And RBD, he's been on somewhat of a tear. Darby Allin cost RBD his match against Pac, and then put RBD through a table, labeling him nothing more than a bitch. Then in the main event, Finn Balor defeated Kane, who was handpicked by Hollywood Hogan. And since Finn did win this match, he was able to choose a stipulation for their world title match at Malice. And he chose an ambulance match. Now on to this week's action. We see the arena. The crowd is on their feet. Some of them are split. They're wearing NWO shirts. Others, shirts from Kane, Finn Balor, even Swerve Strickland. Whose house? Pyro's going off on the stage. Fireworks. The feeling is electric here. And in segment 1, our opening contest is for the Vanguard title. Out comes Johnny Gargano, formerly of DIY. He's got a new attitude, more vicious, more angry, and he's looking to prove tonight that he is better than his former tag team partner, Tommaso Ciampa. Then out comes the Vanguard champion, Damian Priest, the Yorkshire of Infamy. His song, All Rise. So both men get into the ring, and the action is underway. The match begins. It's a technical grind at first here. Johnny, he shifts to aggression immediately, trying to, target the throat of Priest, trying to cut off his oxygen supply. A snapmare, followed by a running kick to the chest. But Johnny traps Priest in the corner. A lot of forearm strikes. They're really echoing throughout the arena. He's using a lot of momentum here early on. But then Priest fires back with a big, massive clothesline, leveling Gargano. And then Johnny, he rolls to the apron to give himself some time to breathe. Then, towards the end of the match here, Priest, he's setting up for a broken arrow. Johnny rakes the eyes of the champion, and he rolls to the outside. And he's looking at the Vanguard title, sitting next to the timekeeper's area. He walks over to it. He's going to use anything to his advantage here, cheating included. And then the camera pans around, and in the crowd, on the other side of the barricade, is none other than Tommaso Ciampa. He's standing there, arms crossed, shaking his head. And Johnny's actions and his behavior. Johnny flips into the bird, only to turn around and get a big boot to the head from Damian Priest. Damian then throws him into the ring post and rolls him into the ring. Priest, even though he's been beaten down pretty hardcore by Johnny Gargano here, he's looking to be having the upper hand. Once back in the ring, they trade some blows back and forth, and then Priest, he delivers a brutal spinning heel kick to the jaw of Gargano, and then hoists Gargano up. It's a big South of Heaven choke slam, pinning him. 1, 2. He retains his title, and Gargano was just pissed by the events here. He throws a tantrum, and he leaves up the entrance stage. On to segment 2. We have a Max Caster taking on Swerve Strickland. Max Caster, he enters the arena first. He's throwing down some freestyle, throwing some disses, saying that Swerve should really just swerve back into his own lane, as he wants to be a king, but he should just bow down and kiss the ring of Max Caster. And then out comes Swerve. Whose house? Swerve's house. The crowd, they're on their feet. They are very excited about Swerve since his debut, and he's been very dominant. No losses since the Battle Royal, and he's willing to fight anybody. He's looking to make that climb into a championship position. And we did see him talking to Estrada, the manager of Umaga. So that may play an important role in the weeks that follow. So during this match, it's a contrast of styles a bit. Caster, he's using his speed. He's countered by Swerve's heavy strike game, though. Swerve uses very stiff chops to silence the crowd, and it's a deadlift suplex that spikes Caster. But Caster, he tries to rally here, hits a springboard dropkick, but Swerve anticipates this, tripping Caster up into a vicious dragon screw against the steel ring post. Towards the height of this match, though, Swerve, he's not looking for a pin. He's looking to break Max Caster. He's going to show Max Caster that if you want to run your mouth to Swerve Strickland, he's going to break your jaw, metaphorically speaking. So he traps Max Caster in a modified sharpshooter here, leaning back with his entire weight. Caster, he's struggling. He's reaching for the ropes. He's trying to make that crawl. But Swerve just drags him back into the center of the ring, and then transitioning into a heel hook submission. And the sound of struggle is eventually drowned out because Caster taps out. The pain is too much. And your winner, Swerve Strickland. Swerve gives him a good kick to the head and then leaves the ring. Another victory for Swerve Strickland. On to segment 3 here. We have a vignette. It's very dark, very misty, smoky-like. And enters the frame the House of Darkness, the Undertaker, Aleister Black, and Brody King. But only Undertaker talks here. He addresses Drew McIntyre, saying, "You bask in the glow of your own pride, chasing a crown that is just out of reach. You seek the summit, but you've forgotten the cost. You stand tall in the light, boy, but you fail to realize that the brighter the light, the larger the shadow. The time for struggle is over. It is time for the darkness to arise." He tips his head back, rolling his eyes, "And you will rest in peace." We have a commercial break, and on to segment 4, a singles match here. Eddie Kingston, He has had some struggle towards the beginning of the series. A lot of people calling him a jobber, and that he doesn't have the stones to make it. But that has changed as he's picked up some significant wins. And tonight, he's taking on the big red machine, Kane. The fire explodes off the arena stage. Enters Kane. He's got his long black wet hair, the full face mask, the red and the black, the full body suit. 90s version of Kane. He makes his way down to the ring. He gets in the ring. He throws his arms up. He throws them down. The flames shoot off from the ring posts, and then the bell rings. A lot of clash of force here. Kingston, he charges in, stiff chops, trying to hit that spinning back fist early on. Connecting with Kane's jaw, but the big monster, he doesn't stumble. He's just taking it. He's taking these blows, these strikes back and forth. He's just taking it until eventually he retaliates. A big side effect slam that leaves Kingston gasping for air. So Kingston, he tries to get a clutch in a desperate reach. But Kane, he powers out with a terrifying gorilla press slam. Then, towards the height of the match, towards the end, Kingston, he's trying to find his second wind. He's taking a lot of physical punishment from the big red machine. He's signaling to that back fist, his finishing move. But Kane, he intercepts the wrist. He yanks him into position. It's a big, powerful choke slam. He lifts him up high. And the impact causes Kingston to bounce. Kane puts his foot on the chest of Kingston. 1, 2, 3. Your winner, Kane, making up for his loss against Finn Balor last week. On segment 5, out come the outsiders, Nash and Hall. And they go on to address the NWO. They say that they were original members, founding members. And they know how Hogan is. And that Reed and Strowman really should watch Hogan, as he's just a snake in sheep's clothing. But they do say, we have an unfinished business. And at Malice, you try to take away our careers, so we want to take away yours in a parking lot brawl. We will wait for your answer, but we want it before the end of the night. Then we move on to segment 6, a singles match. One half of Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, is taking on the hardcore icon, the Sandman. So the Sandman enters first. He enters through the crowd, got the kendo stick, got the can of beer. He takes a big swig, smashes it over his forehead a couple times. The blood's trickling down. He's crazed looking. And then out comes Jungle Boy Jack Perry. One half of Jurassic Express, as I mentioned. And the crowd, they're waving their hands back and forth to the rhythm of the song. And as soon as Jack enters the ring, this match doesn't even really start. Sandman, he ignores the ref, even pushing the ref out of the way. He's still got that Singapore cane, that kendo stick, and he just smacking the hell out of Jungle Boy here. Beating him just repeatedly. Big red marks against all over the chest and the back of Jungle Boy. And then he hits a Russian leg sweep. And then a big boot to the head of Jungle Boy. Sandman isn't interested in wrestling. He just wants to send a message to Bray Wyatt that even though the mind games are happening, he is one of the ECW originals and he will not go down without a fight. He even goes throwing Jack Perry into the steel ring steps. Afterwards, he grabs a mic. He says, Bray, this is what is waiting for you at Malice. Bray appears on the ramp wearing that signature red sweater. Firefly Funhouse Bray. And he just slowly claps, smiling down at Sandman. And then he leaves. It seems that Bray Wyatt has accepted this challenge. He was only seeking out friendship from the Sandman, but the Sandman decided he's more business-oriented and really didn't give a damn about Bray Wyatt and his intentions. On to segment 7. We got a singles match here. Out comes Adam Copeland, the rated R superstar. You think you know me? He makes his way to the ring, and then they call him a bastard. So, singles match here. The action is underway. The bell rings, and Pac, his movement is erratic. He's really just has that dead set energy about him. He hits a springboard drop kick and a 450 splash early on here in the match. 1, 2, a near 3 fall here. But Copeland uses his veteran IQ to beat Pac, getting a catapult into the turnbuckle to break Pac's momentum. Eventually, as Pac, he's trying to scale the top rope here. The lights flash a little bit, the music plays, and it's Macho Man Randy Savage making his way down to the ring. He doesn't move fast, though. He takes his time, and then he kind of, circles the perimeter of the ring. And eventually, since this is kind of somewhat of a distraction, it allows Copeland to capitalize, and he hits a spear onto Pac. Goes for the cover to end the match. 1, 2, but oh no. Macho Man grabs Pac's foot and puts it on the bottom rope. The ref sees this and stops the count. Copeland also catches this. What the hell are you doing, Macho? And he rolls out of the ring, and they kind of get into a yelling match here. Copeland is really unsure of what's going on with Macho Man Randy Savage. Pac is still down in the ring. Copeland just brushes this off, and as he goes to get back into the ring, he is met with a big, thunderous lariat from Pac. Too much time for recovery he had. Then Pac, he starts that slow climb to the top rope, until eventually he's able to hit that black arrow and gets a cover on Copeland. 1, 2, 3. Copeland loses. As Pac leaves, he doesn't really care about either man. He's just here to pick up some wins and go about his way. But Macho Man, he's left smirking after this. And what are his intentions? Why would he betray his tag team partner? On to segment 8. Another match within the tag team tournament. We see Seth Rollins and Penta taking on the Kings of the Black Throne. So this match, it's a chaotic blur. Lots of striking here. Brody King hits a big cannonball that sends Penta flying. Aleister Black follows up with a big leg sweep that grounds Seth Rollins. The Kings, since they're more of an established tag team and they know each other well, they use this to their advantage to isolate Penta. And even using a double team power bomb that leaves him defenseless. Towards the end of this match here, though, Aleister healing has a black mass on a dazed Penta to get the win. The King of the Black Throne did a fantastic job of keeping Penta and Seth away from each other over the course of the match. We have a quick commercial break, and as we return, Penta, he's struggling to get to his feet. He's using the ropes to get up. He crawls into the ring. He's looking at Penta. They're shaking their heads at each other like, you know what? We tried. We really tried to get the tag team belts back. But it's okay. Seth, he goes to leave the ring. But then he turns around, a big super kick to the head of Penta. Penta goes down. Seth, he goes over the corner. He's waiting for Penta to get up. Penta, eventually, being beaten down from this match, he gets into the position. Seth runs a big stomp to the head of Penta. And then he's yelling into the face of Penta that you're nothing more than a failure. He rolls out of the ring and leaves up the entrance ramp. Seth Rollins is totally betraying his tag team partner here. It seems only he was interested in getting the gold, not really being in a team. On to segment 10. NWO New World Order. So out comes Hogan along with Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman. They're strapped to the ring. He's playing the world title like a guitar. Hogan goes on to say that an ambulance match sounds great for the pay-per-view, brother. And I'll send your broken ass back to Ireland when I'm done. Dude. Strowman and Reed, they accept the challenge of the Outsiders. And they say if it's a parking lot brawl they want, then that's what they'll give to them. And they really have no issues ending their careers at Malice. Finn Balor and the Outsiders, they appear on the entrance ramp. Just standing there, letting the NW know that their time may be coming to an end. On to segment 11. This is our main event. RVD, Rob Van Dam, taking on Darby Allin. So, RVD, over the course of this match, he's playing the veteran heel perfectly here, choking Darby with his own singlet straps, using the ropes to his advantage, and he hits a big spinning heel kick that sends Darby throat first into the middle rope. But Darby, he fights back, a big suicide dive that clears the announce table. But RVD goes on to catch him. And after dragging him into the barricade for a big spinning leg drop, he rolls him back into the ring. After some back and forth action, we get closer towards the end of the match. Darby hits a code red. Down goes RVD. And he climbs to the top rope for that coffin drop. Out of pure desperation, RVD shakes the ropes. Darby crashes and burns, almost landing on the back of his head, it looks like. RVD does not go for a pin here. He locks in a rear naked choke and just keeps cranking back on the head of Darby Allin. Darby, he's fighting, he's trying, he's reaching for those ropes as best he can. Till eventually, Darby doesn't look conscious. The ref, he grabs his arm, he's shaking it, he lets it drop once, twice, 3 times. RVD beats Darby Allin here. He stands up. Rob Van Dam as he goes with his thumbs. But he's not done here. No. He climbs to the top rope. He hits that 5-star frog splash that he is known for. And he just basks in the destruction that he has caused. As we go off the air for this episode of Reckoning. June 6th, we are building towards Malice. We got one more episode, which will be the go-home show next Tuesday. Motor City Machine Guns will face the Kings of the Black Throne. Whoever wins that match will face the Hardys in the final of the tag team tournament at Malice for the tag team titles in a tables match. But next week, we will have a massive 6-man tag team match as the Outsiders and Finn Balor take on the NWO, Hogan, Bronson Reed, and Braun Strowman. The Vanguard title eliminators match, where if Eddie Kingston is able to beat Damian Priest, he will get a future shot at the Vanguard title. There will be all this and much more as we build towards Malice on June 6th. As always, I am your host, Jacob, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. And if you have, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as this is going to be running through the end of the year and into next year. I do have big plans for this fantasy series, and it is something that I definitely enjoy. So whenever you listen to this, good morning, good night, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.